Alright, here's the deal. With all the stuff I've been seeing lately, there's just something I've got to say. Especially regarding the news about Daunte Wright. It's kind of a convenient time, I guess. But here we go. Y'all are on the right track. You just don't have the right perspective. Y'all have the right information. Well, sort of. You're just pointing the finger at the wrong person. And I'm not the only libertarian to have ever said this before. But racism and really just bigotry across the board without the state is nothing more than a bad idea. Without somebody to enforce these values, they're just bad ideas. And I'll give you an example. And I won't even bring up slavery. That's kind of an easy go. We'll fast forward a little bit after that. How about when the first Irish Americans showed up in this nation? They came in on boats almost in the same exact conditions as the first African Americans. It was so bad that nearly a quarter of the people on these boats didn't even make it all the way. It was like a 4-week trip. So these people were sick, and they were poor, and even worse yet, they were Catholic. Which in colonial America, most of the people in this nation were Protestant. But it wasn't until the press and the state got involved that it actually got bad. There were newspapers that would literally depict Irish people as animals. There was even such thing as something called the Know Nothing Mob, which the strict purpose for their existence was to just do away with the Irish American population and the Catholic American population. And that group was founded by a man by the name of Lewis Charles Levin, who at the time was a U.S. representative representing Pennsylvania, which in colonial America, Pennsylvania was a much bigger deal, needless to say. And this was like the mid-1840s. And around this same time, there was a man by the name of Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was serving as an alderman in Memphis City as a Democrat, who had a thriving slave trade happening, and it was just huge in demand at the time in the Deep South. I mean, we all know that slavery is not a good thing, and back in the Deep South, especially in those days, it was just a great way to make money, and Bedford was one of the best at it. And he went on to be a lieutenant colonel in the Confederate Army during the Civil War, and then went on to be the Ku Klux Klan's first Grand Wizard. So why do I even bring this up? To again make the point that bigotry without the state is just a bad idea. And because the press has so much leverage, they're just going to rewrite history, and they're going to tell you that it's the people of this nation that have always been racist. But that's just not true. Look at Supreme Court cases like Plessy versus Ferguson. It is crystal clear that people don't want this ideology to be enforced because they see it as evil. I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's evil. But the state doesn't care, because even if they're not even racist, even if they're not bigots themselves, they know that if they can enforce this, they'll benefit from it. And fast forward into the 21st century, and y'all are falling for it. You're letting these people pin you up against other people that might look a little different than you, and that might think a different way than you do. And y'all got the gall to talk about rights. Y'all got the gall to talk about freedom, when your freedom comes from these losers that don't even know you exist. I mean, there's losers everywhere. There's weirdos everywhere. It just wouldn't be that much of an issue if they also weren't trying to run your lives. And the fact that they're able to is insane to think about. And that's not to suggest that there should be more of a criteria to that sort of thing. I don't even think the power should exist. Because here's the thing. If the power is so urgent that you freak out when the wrong person has it, there's nothing wrong with the person. There's something wrong with the power. We know what's wrong with the person, but the fact that they were able to get that power says more about the power than it does the person. That's why I'm an adamant non-voter. Because I don't even believe that institutions should exist, much less am I going to contribute to it. Much less am I going to have an opinion on who should hold office when I don't think anyone should. And I think with everything that's going on in this nation right now, we're going to see a lot more of that going forward. At least that's my hope. Especially my black brothers and sisters out there. It wouldn't be surprising to me to see you come out as libertarian. It really wouldn't. I get that liberty is not trendy and that it's not necessarily a safe way of thinking to promote, but it is a great mindset to have, a liberty-centered mindset where you make your own decisions because you want to make them, not because somebody's letting you do it. Not because you appointed somebody to office who's going to let you do it. That's for slaves. And if y'all really want to be free, y'all really care about freedom, stop letting these weirdos on Capitol Hill dictate the way you run your life. And stop letting them pin you against all these other people. If you want to do that independently, that's fine. I wouldn't recommend it. But go figure. But you can only blame the white man so many times until you just have to face the reality that it's not this guy who's never been appointed to any position of authority whatsoever that is withholding stimulus money from you, that is telling you to shut down your business or else, that is taking money out of your paycheck that they didn't work for, that can literally bring accusations against you and take your stuff even if they can't find you guilty of anything. And there's a long history of that happening too. Just look into it. And if in the past 5 minutes you haven't gotten anything out of any of this, listen to this part of the video. There is no us and then them. And I think we need to stop with that. It's this elitist, tribalist mentality that has gotten us in this mess in the first place. That's the kind of mentality that birthed the Know Nothing mob. That's the kind of mentality that birthed the Ku Klux Klan, the Black Panthers, the Proud Boys, the Antifa, for crying out loud. There is no me and then you guys. There's no us and then the other guys, the good guys, the bad guys. There is us, then there's God. And that's what we need right now more than anything, is God. So whatever it is you believe in, if you believe in anything at all, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to send out a prayer for this country. And I'll do that every day. And I'll tell you what, if you live here, I don't care what you look like. I don't care what your background is. I don't care what idea it is you have about the American dream or what it is you think you know about it. If you're an American and you have a dream and you intend to achieve all of your goals by way of your own will, then that's an American dream that you are perfectly entitled to see become a reality. Because nothing ever comes easy, and it's the people that are willing to work hard for the things that don't come easy that deserve them. I know that when people think of the American dream, they envision this whole concept like the nuclear family, whatever, which happened in the Great Depression, and I could go in depth about how that was not an accident, but I don't have time to go into that. This video is already long enough. We think about like getting married, having kids, having a house, a car, white picket fence, and living happily ever after. That's what we think the American dream looks like. But that's not for everybody. Not everybody wants to live that kind of life. And even for those of us that do want to live that life, not everyone deserves to. Just do what you want to do, man. Don't make it anyone else's problem. Take real ownership of your own life. If you want to be someone else's subordinate, you want to live a slave to somebody else, you're entitled to do that. But nobody else should have to. So don't force me to submit to the state when I don't want to. If you want to, go ahead. But I ain't doing it.